I'm 26 female. My name's Haley. I grew up in a pretty wealthy family in Dallas, Texas. My parents, Eric, 58 male, and Donna, 54 female, own a chain of luxury hotels. We were always the perfect family on the outside. You know, matching outfits for Christmas cards, charity galas, private schools, all that crap. But inside it was all about image and money. I was not raised like a daughter. They raised me like an investment. My older brother, Mason, 29, male, always played along. He's the golden boy, groomed to take over the business, and I was just a pretty face who'd marry someone useful. That was their word, useful. I remember being 13 and overhearing my mom on the phone saying, "Haley will be stunning. She'll make a perfect match for a merger someday." At the time, I did not get it. I thought maybe she was talking about some new skincare line. But as I got older, it became clear what they meant. They didn't want me to fall in love. They wanted me to be a pawn in their business empire. I was not allowed to date in high school, not because they were worried about boys breaking my heart, but because they said it would complicate things. They made it sound like I'd ruin my value. I was 18 when they first joked, about setting me up with the Cooper family's son, Nathan, then 22, male. The Coopers owned a massive real estate firm that my parents wanted to partner with. At the time, I laughed it off. Nathan was all right, boring, but not awful. He was tall, polite, and he looked like he had been designed in a lab to blend in with his expensive furniture. But I was not interested in him or anyone they approved of. I just wanted to live my own life. I went away to college in California and started feeling like a person, not a product. I studied marketing, made my own friends, and got a part-time job. I even fell in love, though I never told my parents. His name was Alex, 27, male, and we met in our sophomore year. He was charming, funny, and passionate. He was not from a rich family. His dad owned a chain of luxury hotels in Phoenix, and his mom was a teacher. His family is my family's number one competitor. That made him unacceptable in my parents' eyes. They didn't know about him for years. We kept it secret, especially during holidays. When I came home for breaks, I had to pretend like I was still open to arranged marriage stuff. It was exhausting. My mom would casually drop comments like, "The Thompson son just bought a new yacht. Isn't that impressive, Haley?" I'd nod and pretend to be interested, even though I wanted to throw something at the wall. After college, I stayed in California to work. I got a solid job in digital advertising and started building a life with Alex. We moved in together 2 years ago. He knew everything about my parents and how controlling they were, but he always encouraged me to be honest with them. I was not ready. The real drama started around my 26th birthday. My parents flew me home for what they said was a special surprise. I didn't think much of it. I figured it was another party or maybe some announcement about expanding the hotel chain. Mason was already running the operations in the Southeast, so I thought maybe they were going to offer me a role on the board or something. But nope, they sat me down in our living room, poured me a glass of wine, and told me that they had arranged my engagement. Just like that. They were smiling like they just told me I won the lottery. I felt like I was going to throw up. My dad even pulled out a manila envelope with printed photos of me and Nathan at some gala from years ago. "Look how great you two look together," he said. Apparently, they'd been talking to the Coopers for months. They had drafted contracts, negotiated terms, and even planned the engagement party. They wanted to merge their businesses by marrying me off to Nathan like it was some medieval deal to unite two kingdoms. I was stunned. I didn't say anything at first. I just stared at them like I was watching a slow-motion car crash. I couldn't believe they were serious. My mom was going on and on about the symbolism and how powerful it would look in the press. My dad talked about how this deal would secure our legacy. I asked him if I had a say in any of this. They looked at me like I had asked if we could turn the backyard into a junkyard. My mom said, "We're doing this for your future, sweetheart." My future? That was the biggest joke of all. When I told them I did not want to marry Nathan, they got cold real fast. My dad said I was being ungrateful. My mom said I'd regret throwing away an opportunity like this. Mason didn't say much, but I could tell he agreed with them. He's always been on their side, always loyal to the business. I flew back to California the next morning and cried the entire flight. I felt like my life was not mine anymore, like they were ready to trade me like a stock option. When I told Alex, he was furious. Not just angry for me, but hurt too. He asked if I wanted to confront them together. I said no. I told him I needed time to think, but in my gut, I already knew what I had to do. I just didn't know how. The next few days were a blur. My parents kept calling, texting, emailing. They sent me a freaking itinerary for the engagement week with meetings, photographers, a guest list, even the venue they'd booked. It was one of our own hotels, of course. My mom was texting me outfit ideas and asking for my ring size. I ignored them. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt like I couldn't breathe. What really pushed me over the edge was when Nathan called. He acted like this was all normal. He wasn't mean, but he clearly thought I'd be cool with it. He said he was looking forward to starting our journey together, like we were business partners, not people. That's when I realized they did not see me as human. Not Nathan, not my parents, not even Mason. I was just a bridge to more money, more power, more fake magazine articles about power families of Texas. I started planning quietly, secretly. I didn't tell my parents anything and did not respond to their calls. I just kept telling them I was processing. They were too busy planning the engagement party to notice what I was really doing. While they were picking out floral arrangements and writing speeches, I was making different plans. The moment I decided to run away, I felt like I had taken back my life. It was wild how fast everything happened, but honestly, I was done waiting and pretending. My parents' idea of family was just a business strategy. I wanted something real. I called Alex and told him it was time. We packed what we could in a couple of suitcases, grabbed our passports, and booked a flight to New York, where none of my family had much influence. The whole time, my phone buzzed nonstop with texts and calls from my parents and Mason, but I ignored them all. I couldn't look back, not even once. When we landed, I felt lighter than I had in years. For the first time, I was free to be myself and to choose my own path without strings attached. Alex and I did not waste time. We applied for a marriage license the next day and got married a week later in a small courthouse ceremony. It was not fancy or expensive, but it was ours, real and true. I did not tell my parents. I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of knowing, but word travels fast in the world of money and power. Somehow they found out, and it was like I'd detonated a bomb. The backlash was immediate and brutal. My parents felt humiliated and betrayed. They couldn't believe I'd marry Alex, who was from a completely different world. No money, no connections, no status. Worse yet, Alex's family owned a chain of boutique hotels that directly competed with my parents' empire, the number one competitor in the business, which made the whole thing even more of a slap in the face. I got a call from every member of my family, but it was not to ask if I was okay or happy. It was to yell, to threaten, and to demand that I annul the marriage and come home. They accused me of ruining their plans and shaming the family name. Mason stopped talking to me altogether. My parents cut off all financial support, which honestly, I did not care about anymore. I had a decent job and enough savings to survive. The cruelest part was how they tried to gaslight me. They sent emails pretending everything was fine and that they still loved me, but I knew it was all a game to lure me back under their control. I refused to fall for it. Alex had been my rock through all of this. He's dealt with the backlash from his own family too, who did not expect him to marry someone so tied and his family's biggest rival. But we are stronger together, and that's all that matters. Living with Alex has shown me what a real partnership feels like. We support each other's dreams and don't treat each other like chess pieces. He's not interested in status or business deals. He cares about me, and I love him for that. The hardest part has been dealing with the occasional whispers and stares when I go home to visit my little sister Emily, who's still stuck in my parents' world. Emily is sweet and kind, but also scared to stand up to them. She knows what they're doing isn't right, but is terrified of losing everything if she speaks out. I tried to reach out to her, but my parents warned her to stay away from me. They said I was a bad influence, someone who would ruin her future. It breaks my heart that my own family is divided because of their greed. Work has been a refuge. I started a new job with a marketing firm that doesn't care about my family's name or business. They see me for who I am and appreciate my skills. I'm finally making a name for myself on my own terms. But the social pressure is relentless. Family friends who once smiled politely now avoid me. Invitations to events stop coming. It feels like I'm being erased from the life I once knew. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing by running away and marrying Alex. The freedom is amazing, but the loneliness can be crushing. I do not have the luxury of family support anymore, and I know I will not ever have their approval. Even my relationship with Mason, who was supposed to be my brother and ally, is gone. He sided with my parents completely and refuses to speak to me. I'm sure they have told him stories to paint me as selfish and ungrateful. The worst part is watching my parents act like victims. They put on this act in front of others, pretending they are the hurt parents who only want what's best for me. Meanwhile, they try to control every aspect of my life and make me marry someone I did not love for business again. I'm angry, more than angry, disappointed and betrayed. The people who were supposed to love me unconditionally treated me like a business asset to be traded. I will not forget that. Since the marriage, my parents have tried everything to damage my reputation. They spread rumors that Alex and I rushed into marriage for money, which is ridiculous. Alex has a good job and an independent career, and they also tried to sabotage my career by calling people in the industry and spreading lies. But I am not backing down. I'm rebuilding my life with Alex, step by step. I'm learning what it means to have a partner who truly loves and respects me. It's a healing process after years of feeling like a puppet. I still have moments where I feel lost, where the weight of losing my family crushes me. But I know I'm better off without their toxic control. Some days I imagine what it would have been like to marry Nathan and live the perfect life my parents wanted. It would have been a cage. A golden cage with no way out. Instead, I chose freedom. I chose love, even if it means losing everything else. Now, my parents refuse to acknowledge my marriage or my husband. They act like we do not exist. They hold family events and don't invite me. They try to play the happy family for public appearances, but I see right through it. They want me to come crawling back, but I will not. I will not be their pawn anymore. My life is messy and imperfect, but it's mine. So here's where I need some honest opinions. AITA for running away and marrying Alex against my parents' wishes, for cutting ties with them and refusing to pretend like everything is okay, for choosing love over business and family expectations. I feel like I did what was best for me, but the guilt still creeps in sometimes. What do you think? Update 1. Things got worse faster than I ever expected. Right after the news of my marriage to Alex became public, my parents started showing their true colors. It was not just silent treatment or cold shoulders anymore. They went full-on attack mode, using every power and connection they had to make life difficult for me and Alex. At first, it started with small things at work. Suddenly, projects I was supposed to lead got reassigned to others. Clients who were friendly before stopped returning calls. I realized it was not a coincidence when several industry contacts told me they were warned not to work with me anymore. My parents had apparently called people in the business world, spreading rumors that I was unreliable and unprofessional. It was frustrating because I had worked hard to get where I was, and now my reputation was being dragged through the mud. But the retaliation did not stop there. Alex's family business soon faced unusual challenges. Strange complaints were filed against their hotels by fake customers. Inspections became stricter, and permits that were easy to renew before suddenly got delayed for months. It was clear someone was trying to hurt them. When we investigated, we found out my parents' company had quietly started buying shares in some of the suppliers and partners Alex's family depended on. It was a sneaky way to squeeze their business from all sides. Alex was furious but calm. Instead of fighting back with the same dirty tricks, he suggested we take a more strategic approach. We started hiring lawyers and business consultants to figure out the best way to protect Alex's family business. We also reached out to some honest industry contacts who believed in us and were willing to help us push back. Together we began documenting everything. Every suspicious complaint, every delay, every attempt to block permits or deals was carefully recorded. We knew that if we wanted to survive this, we had to prove that the attacks were coordinated and unfair. Alex's family was ready to go to court if needed, and I was ready to support him in every way. On a personal level, the stress was enormous. I felt like we were under constant attack, and some days it was hard to keep going. But Alex reminded me of why we did this in the first place: to live our lives without being pawns in their business game. That thought kept me going through sleepless nights and tense meetings. The retaliation also affected our social lives. Friends who once invited me to events suddenly stopped calling. Some acquaintances distanced themselves, not wanting to get involved in a family feud with so much money and influence at stake. But there were a few people who stood by us, offering support and encouragement. Their kindness meant more than I can say. One of the most shocking moves my parents made was to hire a private investigator to dig into Alex's past. They wanted to find something to use against him legally or publicly. It felt invasive and desperate. We found out about this when the investigator's presence was reported to us by a trusted friend. We decided to confront this quietly through our lawyers, warning my parents that such tactics would only escalate the situation. Even with all this pressure, Alex and I grew closer. Facing adversity together made our relationship stronger. We talked about our future and made plans for how to protect ourselves and the businesses we cared about. We started exploring new markets and partnerships outside of our family's influence, trying to build something that would last no matter what. There was also a moment when my parents tried to send me a peace offering through a mutual acquaintance. They wanted me to come back and make things right for the family and the business. But I knew it was not genuine. After everything, I was not going to let them use me as a tool again. I refused, making it clear that I would only talk if they respected my choices and stopped their attacks. The legal battle seemed inevitable. Our lawyers prepared for a long fight, knowing that once we challenged my parents publicly, the conflict could get even uglier. But Alex and I were ready. We didn't want to destroy our families, but we couldn't let them destroy us either. It's been a difficult time with days that feel overwhelming and nights full of anxiety. But I am proud of how far we have come. We took control of our lives and did not let their cruelty break us. Instead of hiding or running away, we stood our ground. I don't know what will happen next. Maybe the legal fight will last months or years. Maybe my parents will finally back off or dig deeper. All I know is that I'm done being a pawn in their game. I married for love, and now I'm fighting for the life I deserve with the person I love. Update 2. The pressure from my family's retaliation was bad enough, but it started to affect me and Alex in ways I did not expect. The stress did not just come from the outside. It began creeping into our relationship, creating challenges that made us question things we never thought we would. At first, it was small stuff. Alex would get frustrated when I doubted his decisions about the business. I felt hurt when he seemed distant or secretive about what was going on behind the scenes. The constant tension made us snap at each other more than usual. We both tried to hide it, but the strain was there under the surface. What made things worse was the outside interference. People close to both of us started planting seeds of doubt. Some friends who did not understand the situation hinted that maybe Alex was only sticking around because of the business or the drama. Others suggested I was using Alex to get back at my parents. None of it was true, but hearing those whispers made me second-guess things. I could see the same doubts flicker in Alex's eyes sometimes. Jealousy also showed up unexpectedly. Alex's family had some relatives who didn't like me, and they made their feelings obvious. At events or family dinners, their cold looks or pointed remarks created an uncomfortable atmosphere. It didn't help that a few women in Alex's social circle suddenly started showing more interest in him after the news of our marriage spread. That annoyed me more than I wanted to admit. I found myself checking his phone, looking for signs of something that was not there. That was unfair to him, but the fear of losing him was real. Alex noticed my mood changes and started pulling away a little. I knew he felt overwhelmed, caught between supporting me and dealing with his own family's issues, but the lack of communication made things worse. We stopped sharing our worries like we used to. Instead, we kept things bottled up, each trying to protect the other, but ending up pushing each other away. There was also the fatigue from having to always be on guard. We both became exhausted from managing the business troubles, the family conflicts, and the strain in our relationship. We rarely had time or energy for just us. Moments that should have been about relaxing and enjoying each other became stressful or ended in arguments. Sometimes I wondered if we were slowly drifting apart without even noticing it. Despite the fights and doubts, we did not want to give up. We kept reminding ourselves of why we were together and what we were fighting for. But it was not easy. We tried to be honest about our feelings, but sometimes the hurt ran too deep. Trust became fragile, and jealousy made it worse. I remember feeling alone even when Alex was next to me. That loneliness scared me the most. We were supposed to be a team, but the pressure from outside and the cracks inside made me question if love was enough to survive all this. Still, there were moments when we tried to reconnect. We found small ways to support each other, even if it was just a quick text during a busy day or sharing a quiet meal without talking about problems. Those moments reminded me of why I married Alex in the first place. I also realized that if we wanted to get through this, we needed to face the challenges openly. Hiding fears or blaming each other wouldn't help. We had to rebuild trust step by step and keep the lines of communication open even when it was hard. But the outside voices did not stop. Gossip spread faster than ever, and sometimes it felt like the whole world was watching and waiting for us to fail. That kind of pressure can make anyone doubt themselves and their relationship. I don't know how much longer we can keep this up without cracking. The love is still there, but the challenges are real and heavy. And I want to believe that we'll come out stronger, but some days it's a struggle just to hold on. Update 3. It came out of nowhere, though deep down, I was not entirely shocked. One morning, a process server showed up at our door and handed over a stack of legal papers. My family had filed a civil suit against me, accusing me of misappropriating company assets and interfering with business agreements. The accusations were ridiculous. I hadn't touched a dime since I walked away. What they were really doing was punishing me for choosing love over control, for marrying into the one family they never wanted me near. This was revenge dressed up in a business suit. I sat at the kitchen table for a long time with the documents spread in front of me. Alex paced behind me, reading page after page. His face went red, not from surprise, but from frustration. We had known they might retaliate, but this was low even for them. They were trying to publicly humiliate me, maybe even force a settlement that would make it look like I had wronged them. I felt overwhelmed, not by the legal stuff, but by the feeling of being betrayed again. Not emotionally this time, but legally and professionally. We talked it over that night, quietly and carefully. Alex's father wanted to go all out and release statements and countersue and make it a scandal. But Alex and I decided we needed to be smart. We did not want to fight fire with fire, at least not recklessly, so we started building a team. We found a law firm that specialized in corporate sabotage and inheritance coercion. The lawyers we hired weren't just smart, they were precise. We sat down and laid everything out, the timing of the lawsuit, the weird investor dropouts in Alex's company, the online rumors that seemed to leak at just the right moment, the way I had been pushed out of meetings when I was still involved in the business, and the strings pulled behind my back. Every little clue added up, and this was not just about a grudge. It was a full campaign. We started collecting evidence, emails, call records, witnesses. I remembered things that did not make sense back then, but suddenly fit perfectly. My brother had made a strange comment about protecting the family name at a fundraiser months ago. A former board member had been unusually aggressive about me not taking a buyout. My cousin hinted that something was going on behind my back. At the time, I brushed it off, and now I realized they had been building this attack for a while. Then something unexpected happened. My old assistant from my time in the company messaged me. She said she'd been following everything quietly and couldn't stomach what they were doing. She had backups of internal memos, Slack conversations, and even an HR report that detailed early discussions about forcing me out when I refused the arranged marriage. That information changed everything. We suddenly had proof that this lawsuit was not just retaliatory, it was planned as a strategy to damage both me and Alex. Our lawyers flipped the strategy. We prepared a countersuit, not just in response to theirs, but with detailed claims: defamation, targeted business interference, coercive family manipulation, and retaliatory litigation. We also lined up a quiet but powerful PR strategy just in case they took things public. If they wanted war, we were finally ready for it, but we weren't going to make the first move. We were going to stand tall and wait. After filing the report and sending them notice that we were prepared to subpoena everything, there was silence. No response, no escalation. A week passed, and then two, and then finally the court notified us that the original suit had been withdrawn. No apology, no explanation, just done. It was like they tried to kick down the door, and when they realized we weren't alone and unarmed, they retreated. But I knew it was not about fear. It was about exposure. They did not want the truth to come out. For the first time since we got married, I felt like we could breathe again. Alex and I took a trip right after that, just the two of us. We turned off our phones, left our laptops at home, and stayed somewhere quiet by the ocean. We did not talk about the lawsuit. We did not talk about the family. We walked on the beach, watched sunsets, and remembered why we chose each other in the first place. It was not flashy or dramatic, but it healed something in both of us. Coming back, we made new rules. We were done reacting to their games. We were done hoping they'd understand. I started a new consulting firm and worked with clients who respected me. Alex launched a new division of his company under a separate entity, something they couldn't touch or influence. We focused on building a life that had nothing to do with them, one rooted in peace, not performance. We still see our therapist once a month, not because we are in crisis, but because it keeps us honest. The pressure almost broke us a few months ago. There were days when I was not sure if we'd make it. The stress, the distrust, the exhaustion of constantly watching our backs, it chipped away at us. But therapy helped. It gave us a place to say the things we were too scared to admit to each other. It reminded us that even strong couples need help sometimes. Now our home is calm. There are no surprise letters, no frantic calls, no calculated invites to awkward family dinners. They stopped trying. I think they finally got the message. I was not going to play their version of daughter anymore. I was not going to help their reputation, their legacy, or their business. I was done being a pawn. I was finally my own person. They haven't reached out, not once. No apology, no explanation, just silence. And honestly, that's fine. I've stopped waiting for it. I grieved the version of family I thought I had. I let go of the hope that they'd ever accept my choices. And when I did, something unexpected happened. I felt free. Alex and I are okay now, better than okay, really. We're not perfect, and we never will be, but we are partners. We fight together now, not against each other. We protect each other. We choose each other, even when it's hard. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.